Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today I need to make an arrangement. This is actually, we received it over Flower Shop Network, so it's just an order that came through Flower Shop Network. And they asked for the Teleflora Angel of Grace. Now we don't have the same angel, and we explained that to them, that we could do an angel figurine, which mine is wooden. And I chose this this little compote container that's actually a plastic type container, but it's really lovely. And I have taken about a half of a block of fresh floral foam. So let me show you how we're going to attach this little angel into this foam. I'm just going to stand her up right here in the foam. First of all, I'm going to take, this is called a hyacinth stake, and I'm going to break it in half, and I am going to stick it right down into that foam. Okay, and so it's actually going to be right back behind my angel, and I'm going to tape my foam into place. But first I am going to take a little bit of this bind wire, and I am going to wrap it right around my angel to make sure that she stays standing in this arrangement. So I'm going to turn it around and show you what I'm talking about. So see how what I've done is I took those two stakes and I drove them right down into my floral foam, and then I just took that bind wire and just wrapped it right around her. Why I didn't want to tape her down into this container, and it's because I'm afraid this tape is going to take off any of her coloring, because it very easily could. So I'm taking this floral tape, which is a waterproof tape, and I'm taping that foam right down into that container. And so now the foam's not going to go anywhere, and she's not going to go anywhere. She's in there pretty secure. I am going to take a little bit of this waterproof tape though, and I am going to come across those two skewers and tape it right across the back of her, because the back won't matter so much, just to make sure she's not going to go anywhere. You always really need to be careful though with your mechanics. Your mechanics are going to be your number one thing you need to be sure that it's secure, okay? Make extra sure that everything is well put together. Okay, so she is ready. She's in place. And my foam is taped down. So next what I'm going to do is go ahead and green out my arrangement. So let me show you what kind of foliages we got today. This arrangement calls for all white flowers, so I've got lots of white flowers. I'm going to start out with a little bit of leather leaf. So I'm just going to take some leather leaf, and I'm going to take that, and I'm going to come all the way around this container with my leather. And I just like to use leather. Number one, it's inexpensive, and it works really well for this reason. So I'm just coming all the way around my container and covering up that foam. I'm even going to put a good bit back here behind her so that it covers up where I taped her in place. Because I don't love when you can see all of those mechanics. And so I told you many times that you always want to be sure that you try to cover up as much of the mechanics of an arrangement as you can. And it's okay if a little bit of it shows, but you want the majority of it not to show. It's kind of like a slip under a dress. you don't want the slip to show, right? And so it's the same with the mechanic. So see how I took that leather leaf and covered up where we had placed those hyacinth stakes. Y'all, please forgive my voice. I'm battling a cold, and so I apologize that I sound like a frog. Okay, so there's our leather leaf. Next, we're going to come in with a little bit of spiral eucalyptus. So spiral eucalyptus is also called baby blue eucalyptus. It's the spiral eucalyptus is more the upright eucalyptus. And when you think of the fragrance of eucalyptus, this is the fragrance. So anytime you have like eucalyptus oil or what have you, it's definitely this eucalyptus that you smell, which I think smells delightful. But some people are allergic to eucalyptus, like my sister. If she gets the oil from eucalyptus on her hands, it causes her hands to break out. So she still uses it when she designs, but she will use gloves so that it doesn't break her hands out. So I'm just kind of stripping those bottom leaves off and just tucking, I throw those away, and I'm just tucking those little pieces right in. Now I love that this eucalyptus gives you some height and a little bit of movement in this arrangement. Again, this arrangement, we just told them that we would make it as close as possible. So it's really not going to look just like the picture. But it will be lovely, I think. Okay, so next we're going to work with some gun-eye eucalyptus, which is this really pretty, airy eucalyptus. And I'm just going to break it into tiny little pieces. And so I love the fact that you can take all these different mixed greens and you can just break them into smaller pieces and use them all the way through an arrangement. You get so much for your money. So I think I used 3 stems of the leather leaf. I used 1 stem of the spiral eucalyptus, and this is 1 stem of the gun-eye eucalyptus. So you see how far it goes, and it's pretty green all the way around. We do have some seeded eucalyptus, and I like the fact with seeded eucalyptus that it does a little bit of a drip, so it's going to cover kind of that edge. It's going to come down and kind of drip over that edge, and I love that. I think it really just gives that arrangement a finished look. Alright, so next we're going to come in with some pretty flowers. And the flowers that I chose, the flowers that were in the picture, I'm going to put this away. The flowers that were in the picture included some white mums, so I have these large white football mums. And I thought I would take them, cut them at an angle, and I am going to tuck it right down deep, kind of right on the lip of that container. I'm going to take my second one, pull out any of those petals that just don't look great, cut that stem at an angle, and nestle it right here up underneath the angel's wing. Okay, so 2 large white mums. Next we're going to come in with some Alstroemeria lilies, and so I'm going to take my stem, cut that at an angle, I'm going to tuck one over here, kind of up underneath that wing. a second stem here, right up underneath that one. And then a third stem I'm going to come out on this side, right there underneath those mums. Alright, so there's our astros. Okay, next we're going to come in with some white or creamy colored roses. I'm not exactly sure the variety of these roses. They're a pretty cream colored rose. I'll pull out a couple of wires. I can find any in my drawer. There we go. Okay, so I have some florist wire here. And I'm actually going to cut them in half because I don't need them real long. So I'm going to take my rose and I'm going to remove any petals that look bumped or bruised. And these have a few, so I just pulled those right off. Toss those. I cut my florist wire into a fourth of a wire. And I'm just going to take that and I'm going to wrap it right around that stem. I'm going to take my floral knife, cut that stem at an angle. Go ahead and remove that foliage. You don't always have to, but because this is going to be short in this arrangement, I didn't need all that foliage. So I'm going to tuck one there. But when working with roses, if it has lots of pretty foliage and you're making like a large showy dozen, leave that foliage on there. It helps to fill up that arrangement. But with me cutting them so short, this foliage just gets in the way, so I popped it off. But if your arrangement's tall and showy, go ahead and leave that foliage on there. Don't strip all that foliage off. Now I'm removing any of these petals that don't look pretty. It is not hurting this rose at all, okay? So anytime you've got a rose that has bumped or bruised petals, go ahead and remove them. Now you'll know whether you can use the rose or not. If you have to peel it back too far, go ahead and toss that rose. There's no need in attempting to save a rose that's not savable, okay? It's a little dreary here in Mississippi today. The weather, the temperature has dropped and we've got a few raindrops. We're hoping that we'll get a nice rain, but it just says 50% chance, so it's very likely we won't get lots of rain, but we would love to. All right, so there's our roses tucked in. I used 5 of those little roses right there in one side, and you can kind of see that I'm blocking the flowers, so meaning all my astros are on this side. There's some roses tucked in. My mom's here. One more stem of astros over here. We've got some white stock. So I'm going to give us a little height back here like I did with our eucalyptus. So I'm just going to take my stock, and I have 3 stems of stock. So I'm going to do 2 stems on one side. And 1 stem over here on the opposite side. Okay, so there's our stock that looks so lovely. And then we have some pretty large white carnations. So let me show you a trick with carnation. You're going to take that carnation. This is called the calyx of the carnation. It's just the little bottom part. I'm going to take that calyx and it's just going to sit very softly in between my fingers here, okay? And I'm going to fluff that carnation. Now you only want to fluff a carnation. Don't fluff other flowers, okay? You only want to do that with a carnation. Now, the reason you don't fluff other flowers is because you will hurt their petals. So very carefully take that carnation, put it in your fingers. Now the reason I'm holding it like this, very softly between my fingers and holding his head like that, is because if I just want to brush him this way, this little this little head's gonna pop right off, and you don't want that. And I'm just nestling these little carnations right over here beside my mums. All right, and there we have it. I'm going to add a little bit more seeded eucalyptus to this arrangement, and we are going to call it pretty. Now the flowers that we used in this arrangement include, we used white Alstroemeria lilies, which are these here. We used white mums, our large white mums, white roses, white stock, white carnations, and mixed foliage, which include 3 types of eucalyptus and leatherleaf. So because we are not a member of Teleflora, we do not have all of their containers, and we don't have all of their things. And so anytime we get an order that calls for something that we don't have, we always contact the person who placed the order and explain to them, now you know we're not a member, we don't carry those exact things, is it okay if we substitute? I tell you, if you don't have what they have ordered, even if it's on your own website, call that customer and tell them immediately. Do not pretend like they're not going to see it, because it's very likely they will see this arrangement. So be sure to tell them the truth up front. 9 times out of 10, they're always going to say that is fine, just make it look as much like the arrangement as you can. But if you did not warn them, then they will have a reason to fuss. So don't give them any reason. Call them and explain to them, and either they're going to accept what you have or they'll change to something different. But you're going to find you're going to get forgiveness way easier that way than if you had sent something that was different than what they ordered and expected them to just accept it. So always think about those things. Guys, thank you for being here. If you have any questions about how we made this arrangement or any of the arrangements we make here on our channel, don't hesitate to ask. We're so happy to answer any questions you might have. If you have not subscribed to our channel, hit that little subscribe button right down below. And if you'll hit that little bell, it'll give you notifications for when we have a new video. And do me a great big favor and like this video. It helps people to see it. Guys, y'all have a wonderful day. We'll see you real soon.